Over the next few minutes, my goal is to give you a more useful understanding of risk and provide you with 4 simple questions that will help you get home safe at the end of every flight. Pilots have many responsibilities, but one of our most important jobs is to manage risk. But the reality is, no kid ever goes to an air show to look up in the sky and marvel at the effectiveness of the comprehensive risk management strategy that's on display. For many reasons, even the most basic risk management processes can seem out of reach or out of touch with GA pilots. While there may be some legitimate reasons for this belief, one of the most glaringly obvious problems is that risk management just isn't fun. On its face, nothing about the risk management process feels freeing. It feels burdensome, complicated, technical, and even a bit bureaucratic. And that is not why people get into aviation. No aspiring pilot is pouring thousands of dollars into their flight training with some great enthusiasm for managing risk. It takes time to understand that risk management does actually give you the freedom to fly. It may be easy to misconstrue my passion for teaching this topic to mean I take some great pleasure from the actual process. My professional interest in the subject comes from nearly 2 decades of seeing it work firsthand by allowing my teams to succeed in very challenging, high consequence, no-fail situations and go home at the end of each flight. In fact, hindsight is probably the biggest difference between pilots that truly invest in risk management and those that don't. Recognizing that safe so far isn't a guarantee of being safe forever often takes a near miss or even an actual incident. I'm speaking from personal experience here. I distinctly remember a GA flight I took earlier in my career out of an airport in southeastern New Mexico. I was flying a coworker and his wife around the area because he was interested in pursuing Army flight school. It was the second flight of the day, and without thinking, I asked the FBO to fill the tanks. Now, this was a hot day in May in New Mexico at an airport that starts around 4,100 feet MSL, and there were 3 adults in a Cessna 172. If alarm bells are going off in your head saying caution, high density altitude, check weight and balance, calculate takeoff and landing data, you're doing way better than I was that day. What makes this story even worse is that at that point I already held an ATP in airplanes, but I had mostly been flying very powerful turbine helicopters for the last year or so, and performance calculations for light piston airplanes just wasn't in the forefront of my mind. To make a long and embarrassing story short, when we finally had enough speed to rotate, it felt like I was climbing a rope in gym class. The VSI was so pathetic. Fortunately, we had more than enough flat terrain to climb to altitude, but I have never forgotten how it felt to make such a stupid mistake and risk 3 lives. My airmanship that day was just not up to the trust my passengers had put into me. I tell that story to help you understand that I've made many mistakes since starting to fly. I've just been very fortunate to learn from them by living through them. Trust me when I say I can appreciate risk management without necessarily thinking it's fun. So all of that to set the stage for our discussion of how to more easily integrate risk management into your next flight. Pilots are inundated with advice from all sides when it comes to managing risk. Yet the GA community continues to pay a high price for the same lessons in tragic and avoidable ways. When we fail to capitalize on life-saving tools like risk management, there is usually a couple of common reasons. Maybe we don't know about it, but risk management is in the ACS. Learning about it is a requirement. 2, maybe we don't understand it well enough to be comfortable with it. 3, maybe we don't practice with it enough to make it a habit. And 4, an unfortunate reality is that some pilots just don't believe in it. A pilot's goal is to always ensure the benefit of our flights far outweigh the costs of any risks we might be exposed to. Understanding this leads us to ask our first question. What actual consequences will there be if I don't complete this flight? In the context of general aviation, the answer is very likely to be minimal. Maybe you let a buddy down that you were hoping to go sightseeing with. Maybe you eat the cost of an extra night in a hotel and some ramp fees. And heck, maybe you even miss an important business meeting. But if you're objectively honest with yourself, it's going to be a statistical anomaly that not completing a flight you have planned is going to move the needle on the outcome of your life. Forcing a flight to depart or continue under dangerous conditions, on the other hand, has absolutely led to tragedy. Once I've answered the first question, I can begin to balance it with the answer to my next question. So, number 2, what consequences am I willing to accept to try to complete this flight? Is it worth me having to divert and absorb the cost of a hotel? Am I willing to replace the windscreen and some sheet metal if I encounter hail? What if I am forced to land in a tailwind with very low visibility while it's raining? Would I be okay sliding off the runway? Stick around for the rest of the series to learn about the last two questions we should always be asking. How easily can this go wrong? And what would change your mind? We'll also take a deep dive into risk and shed light on a part of aviation that is impossible to truly eliminate.